dissuade people from engaging in violence in the streets whatsoever. Check this out.
Clear that I know that there are protests still happening in major cities across the United States. I'm just not seeing the reporting on it that I had for the first few weeks.
That's right. But they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop, and they're not. This is a movement. I'm telling you, they're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not. And we should not.
There you go, folks. There's your potential future vice president. God forbid Joe Biden wins this election. That you should all, quote, folks, beware. They're not going to stop. And know what she is. And they shouldn't. Now, she'll say to you, oh, I was just talking about the peaceful protesters. When you find them, let me know. I'm not talking about the stuff that happens in the day. That is generally peaceful. When you find the peaceful protesters in Portland, Oakland, outside of the White House fence in Washington, D.C., when you find them, fill us in. We'd love to hear about it. You may say, well, she's going to bail her way out of that one and say, no, I was just talking about the peaceful protesters. Well, Ayanna Pressley, member of the squad member, Ayanna Pressley, here's Ayanna Pressley basically calling for unrest in the streets. Yes, prominent member of the squad, radical leftist communist, who basically doesn't think there's any problem with this at all, and is suggesting, she loves to lecture everyone, Ayanna Pressley, by the way. She's so much smarter than you. Here she is basically encouraging this street unrest. Check this out.
I'm looking to the public. You know, this is as much about public outcry and organizing and mobilizing and applying pressure so that this GOP-led Senate and that these governors that continue to carry water for this administration, putting the American peoples in harm's way, turning a deaf ear to the needs of our families and our communities, hold them accountable. Well, make the phone calls, send the email, show up. You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives. And unfortunately, there's plenty to go around.
We didn't manipulate that. That's actually a member of Congress calling for unrest in the streets. As long as there's unrest in our lives. She is a well-paid, glorified by the mainstream media, member of the squad in Congress, and there's unrest in your lives, unlike people who actually work for a living and are struggling right now to get through this plague and the economic unrest, but we're worried about you. There it is. Again, all on tape. This is a manipulated media. It's all on tape for you to see. All of it. Folks, they are not going to peacefully step